Percy coming back in a little bit and kind of Stanley on line.
Yeah, so obviously you guys saw we're starting to work Jeff Percy back into the rotation now. We'll see how much he can handle. We wanted to take a little bit off him. We didn't want him to really play full game on Saturday. Obviously he's been out for some time, and you don't want to just throw him out there and have him try to take every snap when he hasn't played football in a long time. So we're going to start rotating him in a little bit, and he'll start getting a lot more reps. Obviously we're counting on him to be a big part of what we're doing at that left tackle spot, and then we see what happens with Kendall, whether we move him inside or continue to play him at tackle. The week will tell how we handle that.
How do you pace out the snaps that Jeff's going to? Do you want them all in a row, or do you want him to come in and out? How do you...
No, we kind of would like him to take a drive, right, and then take 2 off, get another drive, take a couple off, get another drive, and then maybe ramp it up towards the once you get into like a 2-minute situation, really kind of test him a little bit more, which we did at the end of the half there, at the end of the first half. I left him out there for 2 minutes so that we could really test that knee and see how he's doing.
You obviously knew going into that game you're going to be facing a vaunted Notre Dame defensive front, but once the game started to get going, what were some of the challenges you were seeing for your offensive line?
Yeah, obviously they're a very talented defense. We knew they were a top 12 defense against the run. As far as challenges go, it kind of goes back to where we were at Syracuse too. Is we just didn't perform on first and second down, right? I think we had 20 third downs and 19 of them were 3rd and 5 or more, right? And that's a challenging situation to be in, both as a player and a play caller, for Coach Cade, to be in those situations. And but when those, when it is 3rd and long, when it is 3rd and medium, we got to perform a little bit better than we have been.
When you looked at pass protection, were any of the issues, was it just guys not winning their one-on-ones? Was it communication? How did you guys handle those?
Yeah, so they had a pretty nice 3rd down package, and we knew that they had a good 3rd down package. Going into it, they did a great job of making us hot, and about 3 or 4 or 5 times where we're throwing off of an extra rusher right there. And then they did a lot of twisting up front and moving around up front. We got to do a little bit better job up front of staying square and being able to pass these twist games off, which we've really haven't had an issue of until going into this game. So I think that speed at which they were doing them kind of was a little bit different for us. But that's something we're going to put a lot of emphasis into this week to try to get that part of it fixed.
How would you assess just the push you're getting up front as it pertains to the run game of late?
Well, as an offensive line coach, you always want more, right? You always want more push. You always want to cover guys up more. You want to get guys onto the edge more. You want to get it up the middle more. I think that's the area we can improve at a little bit, is playing with our hands a little bit better inside, playing a little bit more square in the run game as well as the pass game. But the bottom line is, we've got to perform better up front, and we got to give bigger holes for our running backs, and we got to give our quarterback more time.
What did you see from Montgomery in place of Creda?
He played 12 plays and had 4 pancakes. So he's playing physical level of ball. Now, again, that wasn't their first unit when he went out there. That was their backups. But it was nice to see him go out there and play physical and be able to at least get a few pancakes in there and show what he's got.
Heard a lot from Pat about Georgia Tech's offense, but what have you noticed from them defensively?
Yeah, they're a penetrating defense. They're very similar to our defense. They're going to try to get upfield. They're going to try to create disruption. They've got a pretty good nose guard inside that plays really low, plays really powerful. They've got a good inside linebacker as well that we'll have to make sure that we account for and put a helmet on him so that he can't go out there and run free. But they're a talented bunch. I think we're a talented bunch too. We just got to show it a little bit more consistently. So I'm looking forward to that challenge.
In these games when you've had a tough time on 3rd down, obviously, like you said, the first downs put you in a difficult spot. But Syracuse or Notre Dame, are you finding your guys are being beat more physically in those situations, or is it, you talk about like the twists and the different things that they're showing you, like more mental breakdowns?
Yeah, I think there's things when you get into 3rd and long that defenses do a great job of creating one-on-one matchups, right? You're not going to get a slide side. You're not going to be able to have 3 guys working to 2. Everybody's got to win their one-on-one matchups. When you get into 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, we've got to be more consistent at winning those one-on-one matchups.
You get, with the way you spread everything out, don't often keep tight ends in the block. Running backs obviously are big pass catchers in this offense. You can end up in 7-on-5, right, or 6-on-5 situations. Yep. Do you feel like that I mean, how does that typically work out? You know what I mean? Or do you feel like maybe sometimes you need a little more help, with your 5-0 front?
You know, we ask a lot of our offensive linemen in this program. You know, obviously they're going to be asked to 5-man protect, 6-man protect at times. There's going to be times when the quarterback's going to be hot, right? And we've got that built into our system where, he's got to get rid of the ball to a certain player that's doing a certain thing. When the whole thing is operating as it should, I think it's pretty, looks good, right? But when we have those third down breakdowns, a guard gets beat, tight end falls off a block, a running back doesn't pick up a read, a tackle oversets, whatever it may be, I think that's when it gets a little bit sloppy to look at. So, kind of what I was getting at before was, we just got to do a better job of, winning individually, right? And I've got to do a better job of getting our guys coached up to win individually, right? And that falls upon me as the offensive line coach to get that done.